Kevin D says, the children that came across alone were sent to houses that were not vetted. Most of them became lost in the system and trafficked. Biden created the largest human trafficking scheme in the world by having open borders. First of all, the borders weren't open. That's an absolutely ignorant thing to continue to repeat, and it just shows how little you actually know. The kids that came across alone were sent to houses that were unvetted. That's untrue. Report finds more than 340 migrant kids were sent to live with non-relatives who sponsored other children. It starts here by saying the Biden administration released 344 unaccompanied migrants to live with non-family sponsors, blah, 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 blah. The audit conducted by the agency's Office of Refugee Resettlement, which oversees the care of and release of unaccompanied minors, also showed that the number who were placed with distant relatives or non-family sponsors increased from 2021 to 22, both in real terms and as a percentage of all unaccompanied minors. This person here says we see that some kids were placed with parents in places that they don't know, people that they don't know. Non-citizens were treated as second-class families and citizens in some of those families and were under pressure to work. When migrants under 18 arrive in the U.S. alone and are processed by the HHS and released in the U.S., yada, yada, yada. The calendar year 2021, the government released 138,914 accompanied minors. Of those, 11.8% or 16,456 were released to distant relatives or non-family sponsors. In the calendar year 2022, slightly fewer unaccompanied minors were released at 124,781, but more of them were released to non-family sponsors, 18,004 or 14%. Now, here's where you want to pay attention there, Mr. D. The audit found the vetting of the non-family sponsors was in compliance with guidelines and included the required FBI background checks, sex offender checks, child abuse and neglect registry requests, and, in some cases, home studies. Agency officials note that the number of children released to non-family members hosting 3 or more unaccompanied kids is less than 1% of the total number of children released to distant relatives or non-family members since the beginning of 2021. Let me repeat that for you. The audit found that the vetting of the non-family sponsors was in compliance with guidelines and included the required FBI background checks, sex offender checks, child abuse and neglect registry requests, and in some cases, home studies. So your comment is a debunked lie, which is ironic considering your bio reads truth exposer. Really? The truth exposer is pushing debunked lies? It doesn't really seem like you're too interested in the truth at all. You're interested in a narrative.